In this video, we're going to talk about how to become the apprentice that everybody wants to work with. This is what you want. You want to set yourself apart from the rest of the apprentices, from the rest of what's going on. The more that people want to work with you, the more that people ask for you to be on their job or on their project, the more journeymen that are asking for you to work with them, the better off you are. Not only are you going to be in a position to learn different tips and tricks and hacks from working with the best journeyman, but you're also going to start to get your name out there. And as I'll talk about in some other video too, I want to impress upon you guys how important your reputation is. So this is all a part of building your reputation to make yourself somebody that people know and people want to have around. In order to get into this, we'll break down because it really comes down to your responsibilities, right? As always, and sometimes my videos get longer than I want, but I want you guys to understand a little bit bigger picture of things than what they're feeding you at apprenticeship school or what you're getting fed on the job site. The bigger picture, the higher up of view that you can have, the better you can understand what your role actually is and why it's so darn important to be a good apprentice. So my name's Joe Prim. I've been in this industry for almost 30 years now. I take seriously the younger generation coming up and want to help you guys build a firm foundation so that as we move into the future, this industry can get out of the crater that it's been sitting in for decades. So let's jump into this. Like I said, we're going to start with like a 30,000 foot view and narrow down to the bottom, which is you as an apprentice. But believe me, that's all right. This video and the other videos I'm making are going to help you so that you can climb up that ladder a little bit faster and a little bit smarter than a lot of other people. I've been doing this for a long time and have filled most of those roles that I'm going to go over. But I'm back out in the field again, doing what I love to do, creating, building, taking on the challenges that come with every construction project. So there are a lot of different ways that subcontractors set up their systems for their office. This is my favorite way. This is, I think, the best way and the best that I've ever seen on how to operate in the different roles and positions that people fill and what their responsibilities are. So let's go. We're going to start at the top, and you got two people at that top, right? And this is people that we're kind of dealing with, right? You got your project manager and you got your superintendent. The project manager, he oversees and manages the office side of projects, right? He coordinates with the estimators, design teams, architects, the general contractor, and of course, his superintendent. He is responsible for ordering materials and supplying those materials to the job site, especially critical stuff and specialty stuff. They really need to be cognizant of how long it's going to take to get those materials, when they have to be ordered. So that's kind of their role. And then right up there at the top too, you got your superintendent, and he's also overseeing many jobs, but on the field side, right? So he's coordinating again with the estimators, design teams, architects, the general contractor, and his PM. And his focus is more the manpower and the tools in the field in order for the team to be moving forward. What you're going to notice is that the PM is going to talk about money and the superintendent is going to talk about hours. Both of those are exactly the same thing, just a different language that those different positions fill. The foreman, he speaks a little bit different language. He's more concerned about how much material is getting installed on a daily basis. All three of those things mean exactly the same thing. They are just the different way that those different positions look at it. So then you drop down in that hierarchy. I don't really like to look at it, I guess, as a hierarchy because we're all kind of the same. We just play different roles. But as you go down this list, you're going to see that it goes from a 30,000 foot view to a 20,000 to a 10,000 to a very small view. So let's jump into foreman. He should only have one project to overview. On the field side, I think this is the toughest job in the industry for a couple of reasons. You're dealing with the general contractor, you're dealing with your crew, and you're dealing with your office. And all three of them have very different ways of looking at things and very different ways that they think that all problems should be resolved. So it's a tough job to keep all three of those people off your back or focused in the right direction so that you can do your main responsibility as a foreman, which is coordinating your project and making sure that that project gets done as safely and as efficiently as possible. Down to one sentence, that's your responsibility as a foreman. Then you got your journeyman. He's also part of taking care of parts. It's broken down from the foreman into the journeyman, and the journeyman's taking care of different parts of that project. In millwork, which I do, it might be a big elevation, like a staircase that's clad in wood or something, or an elevator lobby where you got metals and different base and wall panels all involved, and those journeymen will be responsible for that elevation, usually from start to finish, right? And that could be for electricians, it might be an electrical closet, or it could be all of the smoke alarms, or it could be for the plumbers. He's taking care of one of the journeymen and he's responsible for a kitchen elevation or for the bathrooms or whatever. But it's broken down into smaller sections for those journeymen. His responsibility is getting that elevation or his responsibilities done as efficient and as safely as possible. So then we come down to the bottom, right? To the role of apprentice. And sometimes, depending on the company, the apprentice will be in charge of part of an elevation too, right? Like for us, sometimes they're running a lot of base, or they're running rooms of baseboard, installing base and scribing it to the floor. It looks like it's very similar to a journeyman, right? But that is their responsibility. They need to own it and get it done, as fast, as efficient, and as safe as possible. The right way, I believe, and the way that most companies will deal with an apprentice is to assign an apprentice with a journeyman on a project or for an elevation, or maybe he's just kind of the foreman's right-hand man running around doing the things that foreman needs to do. You play a support role in that position. I cannot emphasize to you enough how important and how great it is to have an apprentice on the job that understands playing that support role. And whether that's helping roll out cords at the beginning of the day, whether that's making sure there's fresh saw blades in the saws, whether that's locking up the gang boxes and doing a sweep up at the end of the day, whether that's doing cleanup in the middle of the day when you're moving from one area to another. Your focus as an apprentice, your number one focus, and I remember the day that this was a revelation to me as an apprentice, was my job is to make this foreman or this journeyman look good. If I can make them look good, if I can make sure he's got the blades he needs, if I can make sure he's got the screws he needs, if I can make sure he's got the materials that he needs, if we're setting up for the next room and trying to get ahead, hey, where are we going next? Can I go ahead and stock that room with EMT, or can I go ahead and grab the fittings that we're going to need for the next room? If you can be a step or two ahead to set him up to look good doing his job, you are golden. That guy is going to do everything he can to keep you around because you make him look good. He's going to do everything he can to teach you. He'll have extra time to go over drawings with you. He'll have extra time to help you understand why you're doing things the way you're doing things, or teach you a trick or teach you a hack that you may have for the rest of your career. Because that guy, that journeyman, might have 3 kids at home. He might have a mortgage that he's trying to make sure he's paying. And no job, no tomorrow is promised to anybody in this industry. We're always fighting to keep our job so that we can move on to the next one. So if you can put him in a position to look good, to look like he knows what's going on, and to succeed in his main priority, right? His main thing that he's trying to do is get things done as efficiently, as safely as possible. If you can put him in a position to do that, he will take care of you. So the problem is that when an apprentice becomes a burden to a journeyman, when an apprentice slows down a journeyman, or that journeyman feels like he's being slowed down, he begins to get concerned about his longevity. If that journeyman needs to be thinking about what he's doing and trying to get his job done as efficiently and as safely as possible, and at the same time has to be trying to keep you busy because you're not able to keep yourself busy, you start to become a burden. And a lot of journeymen will tell you they would rather work by themselves if the apprentice is slowing them down. Nobody wants to look bad on the project. Nobody wants to look like they're going slower than they should. So if you are slowing them down, if you aren't staying a step or two ahead, or aren't starting to learn how to work alongside them or with them, they will begin to see you as a burden. And that's the last thing that you want as an apprentice. This isn't a one day everything changes sort of attitude or sort of change. This is a kind of, you need to begin to start to look ahead, to think things through, and also keep busy. No journeyman wants to be busting his hump, trying to lift something heavy into place while the apprentice is standing back, leaning against the wall. Your reputation matters. Consider that in all that you do. So I know it can suck starting out at the bottom, and I've seen apprentices get pushed up too quickly, or your fifth year and your sixth year in where you're an early journeyman is tough, because now all of a sudden you're making journeyman wages, but you're probably not at the skill level as them. But when you get pushed forward too early, or you don't have these understandings when you become that fifth and sixth year journeyman, or 5 and 6 years in, but you're a journeyman, you missed out on understanding the simple basics. And when you start out at the ground level, sometimes it sucks. Believe me, I've been there. I understand. I know. But when you start out at the bottom and you work your way up and you begin to have a bigger and a better understanding of the whole process, not just that little bit that you're stuck on, not just that little bit where you're at, but you get to understand the whole process. So as you work your way up that hierarchy, as far as you want to go, as far as you think is your goal and your dream to get up that hierarchy, the better that you can understand what it took at the bottom and what that looks like, the better you will be in that position towards the top. Believe me, I know, I get it, I've been there. So embrace your role as an apprentice. Realize that you are an incredibly important part of what is going on the job site. You're also an important part, and your learning and your dedication to your craft is important to the future of this industry. And this industry is important to the future of your community and the future of your country. So that's all I got. Get back to work.